Okay, so I've got my families now set up in this space that I wanted. So, of course, your design is going to be different to mine, and just make sure you've had a look at this video on loadable families so that you can set up the families you need for your own designs. So I'm going to continue on with those, and so maybe I'll just quickly revise materials for those families that have already been loaded. And so here I've got the table that I've loaded, or that I made and then I loaded. And then when it's selected, if I go to Edit Type, you can see then those material options. And I'm going to go to the tabletop material, and just click Browse there. So I'll just quickly go over how to make a new material, starting with the one I've got, laminate green. So again, if this still seems like a bit of a process, you just need to keep repeating it until it's really familiar. And so that's why I'm just repeating it again. When you right click on the material name, duplicate, and then we'll say call it laminate, what colour do I want to do this time? Orange. And then the thing people usually forget is the next step. Go to the Appearance tab, and then right click on that Appearance tab, and then you've got a choice. You can either duplicate or replace. So if you want to get a completely different material, go to Replace, and I'll just choose that so that you can see. That'll take us to the Asset Browser. And in here, a good reminder is that we're changing the appearance, so you go to the Appearance Library, and then you'll see all the different folders with the basic render materials. We can go to Plastic, and then choose a different type of laminate, or different type of plastic, or you can choose, of course, something completely different, like wood. But I've decided, well, actually, I don't want to make a brand new material. I just want to make a variation on the one I had. So I'm going to close this without doing anything there. By the way, I should have said, sorry, when you're in there, if you do want to get one of these, you just double click on them to replace the one that you have, and then close it. But again, instead of choosing replace, the other option is to choose duplicate, and that'll simply copy that material or that appearance, and then you can change it. And you'll know that you've copied it because it'll say 0 over here above that hand. And then I'll simply click on the colour there and make it orange. That's a bit of a wimpy orange, so I'll beef that up a bit, or make it a bit darker. And then I'm going to go back to graphics and just make sure use render appearance is ticked. So those are the main steps for making and adjusting a material. Click OK, and then now I just want to make sure the table leg has the same material, so I'm going to click Browse there and choose my new laminate orange. OK, OK, and there's my new colour. So that's for families that have been loaded. You go to Edit Type. For some families, like this little cushion chair, whatever it is, you don't need to go to Edit Type. You can see there, when I do that, there are no material options there. And that's because the material option is just here in Properties. So it can either be in Edit Type or just there. So you need to sometimes just have a look and see which options you have. And so there, I can again do the same thing, choose Browse, and choose make a new material, or I can choose an existing one. So maybe I'll just choose that same orange. And there we are. So for walls and floors, it's similar, just some slight differences. So I'm going to choose the floor now, and then go to Edit Type, and you can see here It does give an indication of the material, but notice that's greyed out. So instead I need to go to Edit there next to Structure to get the option where I can change the material, and that's it there. So I've got Material, and there's only one layer here. I know it might look like there are three, but the core boundaries don't have a thickness, they're literally boundaries. So I can change the material of this layer. This is my structural layer, and it's always a good idea if you're not sure how it looks to click on the preview button, and then you'll see the layer with the thickness that's been set. So that's the 300 there from the top to the bottom, and we're looking at a section here. So again, I could change the material of that, but I want to make this a timber floor. And do you know how to put a timber floor over concrete? You can do it, so it's a good thing. You can have either a floating timber floor, which is the simplest way. So you just have a rubber underlay, and they have these, they're almost like tiles, but they're floorboards that lock into each other. So that's the simplest way, that's a floating floor. But the other option that's a little bit more high quality is to put down timber battens that are about 25mm deep, and then nail the floorboards to those. And so it adds a bit of thickness, but altogether there'll be about 40mm that you're adding to that concrete floor. So it's good to know that. So you do have the option, even with a concrete floor, of adding timber to it. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to make a new layer on top of this. So, okay, so I want to keep this original floor, and so I'm going to cancel that, and then duplicate my generic 300mm floor, and we'll call it timber over, let's say, concrete. We could still say 300mm. And this is just for me, so I know which floor it is. So now I'll go back to Edit. Now I've just kept it at 300mm. In reality, it wouldn't be anything like that. It'd be closer to 100mm, this slab. But we'll leave it 300, it doesn't hurt. And then I'm going to click Insert, and just change the function of that new layer to Finish 1. And then I'll make the thickness, maybe I'll say it's going to be a floating floor, so I'll just make it 20mm. And then you can see it added that new layer over here to my original, well, we'll say it's concrete underneath. So then, I want to change the material of that layer. That's really the whole purpose of what I'm doing. So I'm going to click Browse there to now change that material and make my timber flooring material. So being American, they call it wood generally rather than timber. They all have some that are called timber, but usually it's wood. So we just need to find any of those wood or timber materials and right click and duplicate. And so I'll call it wood timber floorboards, or just wood floorboards maybe. Again, this is just for you so you know which is which. And so then I'll go to the Appearance tab, and then you can see here the danger sign. There's a 2 above that hand, so this material is being shared by 2 other materials. So again, always force yourself to remember that you have to do something about the appearance, either duplicate or replace. This time I'll go to Replace, and then the Appearance library, and so there's a wood folder there, but also if you go to the Flooring folder, there's a wood subfolder there. And that's where you'll find all the floorboards. Right, so I'm just going to find one that I'm happy with, maybe the hardwood. Double click. Okay, so it's not clear at the moment that anything's happened, but if I just move this over, you can see now there's been a change there in the background. So once you double click on the material here that you want, you can then close that asset browser, and you should see that it's then gone into your appearance tab. So maybe I will just make a change to this. It looks very shiny, so I'm going to just expand the reflectivity option. Yeah, okay, now this is something you do need to think about, these settings. That's a good option. This sometimes can give you a really nice effect when you have the direct higher than the oblique. But I'm going to switch it around. I'm going to change the direct to be a bit lower, and then I'll bring the oblique reflections up higher. Don't want to get too much into the physics of the materials, but those options do give you some nice realistic effects if you make them different. And then the other one's glossiness that affects the shininess. So I'm going to just bring that down a bit so it's not quite so shiny. And there we are. Okay, so I might just then go to the graphics tab and put in a surface pattern. So where it's got none there next to pattern for the surface pattern, I'm going to just click there, right where it says none. And the basic rule of thumb is for surface patterns, use model patterns. You shouldn't need to use drafted patterns really for surface patterns. So choose the model option, and then I'm just going to choose the any of these parallel lines. Just the 100mm horizontal. So that's my material done. So I'm going to click OK, and then you can see now in the preview, it's a lot clearer that this is a different layer because the material's different now. And so I'll click OK, and then OK again. And to see that material in the view, I just need to deselect it. While it's selected, it shows up blue, but if I click to the side so it's not selected now, I can see my floorboards. And I think they're going the wrong way. So, yeah, so I'm going to select that floor again, go back to Edit Type, Edit Structure, find the material, browse, go to the Appearance tab, click on the image, swatch, and then I'm going to change the rotation there to 90. OK, 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 and they go the other way. If I go back to hidden line, we can see then that the horizontal lines were already going the right way. Okay, so that's probably enough for materials. Walls basically work the same way. So if I select that wall and go to Edit Type, you see then you've got exactly the same option to edit the structure, and you can add in layers in exactly the same way. The only major difference is that with walls, instead of having a top and a bottom, you've got an interior and an exterior side. But again, it's basically the same as floors. So I'll leave that for now. And so I want to show you decals. So these are similar to materials, but you use these just to place a single image. So that flooring is obviously showing an image of some floorboards, and it is taken from the photo. So again, with the decal tool, you can just place individual images. And decal basically means sticker or image, essentially. So again, if you click on that down arrow there and then place decal, if you have them already made, it'll come up like this. Just be aware though, the first time you do it, it won't look like that. Yeah, I can't make it come back, but it'll just look a bit simpler. And again, after you've done your first decal, what one wants to do very quickly is make a new file, just so you can see how it will look the first time. So here, this is a blank file. If I go to Insert, Place Decal, it comes up like this. And then you click the New Decal button to make a new one. So again, in my other file, because I have already made some decals, just looks a bit different. So again, back to Place Decal, and you can see there I've got the list of decals I've already made. We can still click Create New Decal. And then I'll say, this is going to be rug, spare room, so I'll just go spare, and double it. And then over on the right, next to source, you can click browse. And then you can choose any image file. So I was telling you that you can start to search for material images online. And if you're searching for these files that you can use for materials, the key to it is using the right keyword. So if you look for, say, rug texture, look at those images, and you can see they're nearly all flattened images. Right, so you can easily download those, save image, and use them with your decals. Okay, so back into Revit, I've got a selection of those, and so I'll go down and choose the one I want, which is that one. And there is a selection of these on the P drive. So if you go here and then interior design and then material images, there's a rugs folder there that has quite a few that I've downloaded. But you'll find, of course, many, many more if you go searching online your own. So I'll go back to the other folder where I've got the others. And just choose that one. Yep, that's fine. So I'm just going to click OK, and then try and place it on my floor. There we are. Okay, so that's very small. So now I'm going to select it, and then using the arrow keys there, I can stretch it. Sorry, not the arrows, the grips on the corners, we can stretch that out. Then to rotate it, I might switch back to the floor plan, just to make it a bit easier to see. Sorry, my mouse isn't working properly. Yep, there we are. Okay, so now I'll just select that decal again and then click rotate. And bring it around 90 degrees. You can, again, adjust it. So now as I'm stretching it, I'm going to also turn lock proportions off, and that way I can stretch it how I like. And so there we are. So, okay, so you can use decals for rugs, of course. You can use them for pictures on the wall. I'll adjust this a bit more. And then maybe I'll just show you one of those quickly. So again, back to here, place decal. Oh, and so this is, the other way it come up. So now you can see it's not even bringing me a dialog box. So to get that to come up, I'm going to go to Edit Type. And then over here, click edit there. Oh no, sorry, before I do that, so make sure I click duplicate. And I'll call this painting 1. Edit there now next to decal attributes. And again, so I know it does look a bit different sometimes, but it's still got the same options. So I'll click browse, and I'm going to go and find a painting. So again, onto the P drive, interior design, material images, and I've got a folder there for paintings. I'll just go for the Montreal. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, OK, and again just click roughly to place it on the wall I want. Press escape, and now I can select that just like before and use the grips to adjust the size. And that's probably all I need. So maybe just spend some time on the materials. Maybe also have a go at placing some decals, and then I'll go to ceilings and lights afterwards. Oh yeah, no, how I am.